All right, welcome in as we get ready to get things underway on this Tuesday. Some Detroit sports talk here with Dennis Fithian and Brian Jelinek. Jelinek, as you can see right there on the screen, if you're watching here, whether it's live or whether it's recorded back and you're watching it, there he is. What's up, Jelinek?
I can't complain, man. Started a new job. Week's going off great. We got playoff baseball on all evening. It's just an ideal night in the Jelinek household right now.
Yeah. How about, maybe you have to get a string of pearls like my guy,
Jock Peterson.
Yeah. I don't know what the backstory is, but it's working for him. So if it works, it works. You know?
Don't forget Anthony Rizzo's bat either. I don't know. I don't really know that story, but he's been rocking Anthony Rizzo's bat, and we are in Jocktober.
Yeah. Hey, I'm pulling for the Braves, so I'd like to see that. We'll talk about some playoff baseball coming up in the 5th chapter. Got some breaking news regarding the Pistons. We will get to them as it is their home opener tomorrow night. So the NBA is upon us. The Wings getting back at it, and we'll show you that book. We can put it up on the screen here if we can do that. Pete Finelli is here. He's our intern. He's out in Pennsylvania. We'll hear from him. There's the book. And as you can see, we're going to get to some college football, including Michigan and Michigan State. You see the SOL there. And we'll also be talking with Raj. We've got some over and unders, our semi-annual regular guest on Tuesday. So let me see that book one more time for everybody. Take a big look at it. There it is. The Pistons in the 3rd and the Red Wings in the 4th. So good job. Thanks, Rob. That's Rob Diddy behind the scenes. He's running all the pictures and twisting all the variable resistors and getting us ready. So we're good to go.
We're ready to roll. Let's do it, man. You want to head into chapter 1?
That's a good place to start when you're talking about a sequential book there, starting at the 1st chapter. And, lo and behold, we've got 2 undefeated college football teams. There's only 6 in the Power 5, and 2 of them are right here in the state of Michigan, with Michigan and Michigan State. Spartans moving to 7-0. Why don't we start with them? They went down to Bloomington, and hey, they covered. And they won, so they're good to go. They're into a bye. What's shaking with the Spartans?
That was a hard game to watch, and it was fun because we had a squad of people getting ready to go out to this Halloween bar crawl out in Royal Oak, and so the pregame consisted of watching basically all the Michigan State Indiana game. And just a good squad of Michigan State fans, a couple of Michigan fans in there just talking smack and all that. But that game was tough to watch, especially as a Michigan State Spartan. I mean, I always think that Bloomington's a tough place to play in, but man, Michigan State had nothing going for a while. I mean, their only touchdown for the first half was a pick 6 or a fumble recovery, something like that. And that was tough. I was worried going in last week. I think everyone can remember that I'm terrified. And basically every weekend from now on to the rest of the season, I'm going to be worried about Michigan State. But talking specifically about the state game in Bloomington over the weekend, I mean, Michigan State was 5 for 16 on 3rd downs. This is just overall throughout the year too. Excuse me. I mean, they just weren't very good. I mean, they're 99th in the FBS. They're 99th in the FBS on 3rd down conversions, just 35%. You can see that was an issue throughout the game against Indiana. Payne Thorne didn't look good. There wasn't very many big explosive plays we're used to. The Indiana defensive line was shutting down Kenneth Walker III for a bit. It was a tough and scary game to watch. So when Michigan State gets into their schedule of Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, you definitely have to be worried. And as a Michigan State fan, I am very worried, Dennis.
Yeah, well, there's one part about it. I mean, I can understand being worried, but, you take a step back and that throughout a season, even if you're a really good team, you're not going to be at peak performance week in and week out. Mm-hmm. And, I would be in more of the category of crediting Indiana for their defense on Naylor and Reed, and for doing a good job of keeping Kenneth Walker
under wraps,
out of between the tackle boxes and not letting him bounce it outside. But, it took him. I think that if this season ends up being a one that is really memorable for MSU, I think you'll go back to this game in the 3rd quarter where you had, Hunt, the tight end, they draw up the, tight end pass, and everything was ill-advised about it. I mean, he ends up dropping back. He's got 2 guys or whatever guy in his face. He fires it out. Thorne goes up and makes a catch like he's DeAndre Hopkins and between 2 defenders, and ends up getting his foot down. The refs didn't think. There's the catch right there. It was awesome.
That catch was
that
sweet.
is. I don't care whatever happens to Peyton Thorne for the rest of his career. Hunt, the same thing. Looking at that one guy in front of him, it's just an amazing. That's an amazing play. And then 3 plays later, Thorne found Hunt in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. And you know what? State survived. I was happy. You know, I picked them. Even though Darren Ravel, I saw a tweet in the morning saying that
that guy sucks.
Did you see that tweet?
No, I actually muted Darren Ravel on Twitter, or blocked whatever. I don't see anything that he tweets or that anybody mentions him, and I can't stand that man, so I don't want to see him on my Twitter timeline.
Yeah, I don't follow him, but I didn't go as far as muting him. So it was about State, and the most money that was bet this past Saturday was on Michigan State. It was like 95% of the money was on MSU minus 3.5, and I'm like, wow, you know, I'm right there too. So I ended up winning and covering, and I think you know sometimes you survive on the road like that. I think it's the name of the game now. It's like the NCAA tournament, like during the regular season, and if it's in like the non-conference and you're playing against whoever, Northern Illinois or something, and you're like, boy, we really need to do this a little bit better, or batten down that. But I think once you get to the middle and beyond, it's survive in advance. It's not like you don't care how you play. I mean, like, let's fast forward it to Halloween weekend. What do you think the spread will be for Michigan and Michigan State? And do you think the Spartans are going to win? You're a State guy.
I am a State guy, and I'm going to put this comment up first to start talking about. This is our own intern, Pete, just saying, I've been getting a little less scared of MSU these last few weeks. And he's saying he knows what they're capable of. And just honestly, I can't say that I'm feeling more and more comfortable with them. And going into October 30th, I am worried about the game. I think the line's going to be favorable for Michigan State, probably maybe like a 2-point favor or something like that, just because it's in East Lansing. But I know what Jim Harbaugh's teams can do. And since they're pounding the rock better than they have, or I think the Michigan offensive line is going to be better than the State offensive line. So I think they're going to be able to control the ball for a decent amount of the game. And I am truly terrified for that game coming up in Spartan Stadium on October 30th.
Yeah, I could try to put myself in Spartan shoes. And if I did that, I would, be ecstatic, heading into a bye week of being 7-0 and, having a coach that assembled a team that, you found a quarterback, you found some playmakers, you found an awesome running back. And this is a team that looks like they can play for all of it here. I mean, that's what you want. So, it's not like it's a free roll. Like, oh, if you'd have told it before the season, and you'd have only, you don't do that at this point. Like the part about winning this game, Tucker did it last year, and he knows what an incredible lift that was for MSU, the fan base, and himself. And if he would be able to do it 2 times in a row, just he might be the one that sends Harbaugh out the door if he did that. So. A lot of incredible things. So most of the pressure I look at, is on Michigan. Although, if you're a State fan, you put your own pressure saying, no, we've got pressure. No, we want to go 8. No, I get that. So I'm not trying to belittle saying, no, it's all just a free roll against Michigan, but I thought that. I keep thinking that the whole time. I mean, everything's going great for MSU. Somebody's going to have to lose the game here. I think it's going to be close to a pick on myself. And, there's a lot of reasons to like Michigan, a lot of reasons to like Michigan State. I think Michigan here. I think if you like Michigan, you pick Michigan. If you like Michigan State, you pick Michigan State, because it's going to be about a pick 'em. Why would you pick the other team here? Like I think it's going to be a fourth quarter game, and going to come down to who's going to make some big plays in the fourth quarter. You can get through a lot of fancy analysis and talking about who's going to run the ball, don't turn it over, and limiting the big plays for MSU and all those kind of things, but. I'll go to, this is a fourth quarter game, and I think that I've seen Michigan make a few plays. I've seen State, but I'll maybe it's because I'm a Michigan guy, but that's what I'm going to pick right now. Now, if Michigan goes out and looks terrible against Northwestern, maybe a big injury or something like that, maybe that could swing, because it's pretty close. It's pretty close right now. Like if you tell me that Kenneth Walker goes for 150 or Naylor and Reed end up scoring 2 touchdowns and, State wins it, 35-30, that's not going to shock me. It would shock me if they blew the doors off of Michigan or vice versa. That would shock me.
Yeah, I would be totally shocked too if one team just destroyed the other team. But when I was doing my research for today's show, and this segment specifically, looking at Michigan State's defense, they're a true bend but don't break defense right now. And I mean, yeah, it's you see right there. I mean, they're pretty solid with 16th in scoring defense, 18th in turnovers forced, but at the same time, I'm worried about the 460 yards per game. That freaks me out. And they're 70th in the FBS with like people are converting 39% of the time. That is worrisome a little bit, especially with a team like Michigan where they just handle the ball and pound the rock for the whole game. That does worry me. On the same side, though, we have CJ in the comments just saying State's D line is top notch. I agree. I think Michigan State's D line is very good. But at the same time, I feel like their corners and their secondaries have a tendency to give up big plays like that, and that's what I'm worried about with Michigan's attack.
Yeah, Henderson's pretty good as a safety. I think both teams, when you look at their corners, I think if we're looking for one position group that might end up deciding it after quarterback, I would put it at cornerback. Quarterback and cornerback. We get a little tongue twister going for the game. Those are I think the two biggest position groups. And Thorne threw some picks, but he's been pretty good. Obviously, being able to throw that deep ball. He can move around too. He's got some feet. He got some legs to him, and he's been pretty good. It might be a good thing that they didn't just go and were totally explosive against the Hoosiers. But when you got two guys that both can make gigantic plays through the air, and then you got a running back and do the same thing, you feel like, wow, this is a pick your poison. But the Hoosiers did a lot of things that I think Michigan's defense will look at and say, wow, that's we want to make sure we keep Walker inside, don't let him bounce it outside, and we're going to play our guys a little further back and keep Naylor and keep Reed in front of us here. And you do that, maybe keep it down. 20 points. I think the winner. I know we already talked about this, but I think the winner gets closer to 35 points than they do 20.
Yeah, and Payton Thorne's been pretty good through there. He's definitely gotten better as the season's progressed. But that game against Indiana was bad, I think, for Payton Thorne standards. I mean, the game before in Rutgers, he looked really good in the pocket, was making good throws, moving his feet well, not getting rattled with pressure. But that game did freak me out a little bit against Indiana. Just Payton Thorne did not play super well, and that is worrisome going into a bye week, and especially going into the Michigan game the following week, hosting them. So,
here's David talking about drafting Payton Thorne or Cade McNamara if you're the Lions. I'm not ready to go there. Both quarterbacks are doing all right and everything, but I'm not ready to put either of these guys into the draft or have them go into the Lions as of yet. They both have a lot of time left to both playing Ann Arbor and East Lansing. Let's just tap the brakes on that. Here's a Super Raciti. How about that? Your boy.
My guy.
I'm not worried about Michigan State one bit on a roll. I do believe they'll defeat Ohio State as well. So not only are they going to beat Michigan, they're going to beat Ohio State too. So there you go. Super Raciti, super confident.
Yeah, and I think I have a six-pack, so that's just ridiculous. I think any team going to play Ohio State, are they in East Lansing at the Shoe this year? Do you have any idea? They're in East Lansing, right? And
you're asking me questions like just out of thin air. You're like, I
have no
know.
idea. I mean, I think at the end of the day, Ohio State's so good, it's not going to matter if you're in the Shoe if you're in East Lansing. Ohio State's really good. They're a staple of the Big Ten. I don't see Michigan State beating Ohio State at all. But one comment that I saw was from CJ just saying, Tuck busy getting ready to go to LSU. Don't like those rumors one bit. I think this had to come up at some point today. I know this wasn't on our show sheet or anything like that, but I think that Mel Tucker's going to stay. I'm not worried about him going to the SEC. I'm not worried about his track record of just leaving Colorado after a year. I don't see him going to LSU just for the fact that I think LSU is on the verge of being like toxic right now, and I'm kind of worried about that. And I don't think Tuck's going to leave to go to the SEC to take over that program that isn't really in shambles, but I know it's 2 years away, 2 years removed from winning a national championship. I think Mel Tucker's going to stay in Michigan State for at least his contract, and then we're going to go from there. But I don't think he's leaving Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State is playing at Ohio State this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance that Tucker does go to LSU. I don't know about his you look back at his career and say that he's been jumping whenever he can. That's what coaches do. If they can get a better job, they go to the next place. And you got to ask yourself and remove yourself from the situation. Is LSU, can you get more money? Can you get more prestige? Can you win a championship, at LSU, or can you win it at Michigan State? Well, you can recruit better at LSU and you're going to get more money. I know Michigan State could match that, but you know what? If it's if you're going to have an easier time recruiting, and then hence a an easier time if there's one to win a national championship, which really skyrockets you, right to the top of the college football world. I think there's a real chance, and he's not only a hot name here, he also has the coach with Nick Saban. Nick Saban is the best coach in college football history. When LSU went to get him, went to East Lansing to get him. And so, that's not going to be lost in the fan base. Hey, we're going to go to East Lansing to get their coach and bring him down here. So I think there's a real chance that could happen. And for Michigan State fans, I hope he stays, because it's tough to find. Like, look at the turmoil and everything that was up in the air, and then you got him, and it was like, man, it's going to be a real tough 2-3 years, and it hasn't been anything but. I mean, he's been fantastic. So, hope he's able to stay there in the state of Michigan, but I think there's a real chance that he goes.
I'm thinking the opposite, just not for the fact that I'm a Michigan State slap or anything like that, but just for the fact that Ed Ogeron was let go 2 years after winning a national championship, and even in a COVID-plagued year going 500, and this year most likely like a 500 finish, and the SEC is a different beast, and the fact that he's getting fired for going 500, you just can't trade wins and losses in the SEC. And I just think Mel Tucker being in the Big Ten, being at Michigan State, which is, again, at the end of the day, not a huge football school compared to other schools, I just think he's able to trade wins and losses for the first couple of years until he really establishes the program. I think that is going to be more appealing just for that fact. And plus, he's being paid well in Michigan State and stuff like that. I just don't see him leaving to take the LSU job.
All right. Maybe you'll be right there. I don't know what this screen says here. What's this all about?
I think it's just talking about Mel Tucker's early life. And he was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Played football at Wisconsin. He was a defensive back.
Can we look at that again?
Pull up his Wikipedia page, Rob.
There it is. LSU 2000. Is that what we were looking at? There he was there as a
defensive
DB
backs coach.
Yes, Ohio State pro experience with the Browns. Just basing it on this.
Shit, I blew that.
You're not supposed to swear either. But there we go. It was a good effort there. Hey. Thanks. There we are. Back to the two screen. How about the noon kick? Are you upset about that?
I'm not upset about the noon kick at all. Just for the fact that I know people are going to be upset that it's a noon kick, and I like it for the fact that Fox has really pushed the big noon kickoff to be kind of their marquee game of the week. And I just like how in years past, the noon kickoffs have not been very good just in general. I'm not talking about like Michigan State. I'm just saying in general from noon kickoffs, but I like the idea because that is the primetime game in the afternoon, if you will. And I'm totally about it. I like the idea that I can watch that game. Then we can go right into, is it Florida and Georgia, and then finally Penn State and Ohio State in the evening. I think that's a perfect way to set up the afternoon. I have zero problem with a noon kick.
Here's David saying Mel Tucker is a ship jumper. He will pull the rug out of MSU's feet. A ship jumper, and that's what Banker was trying to say there. Well, let's get Raj Bundles, a Tuesday staple to come in here, and we'll get Pete up here in a second as well, because we've got the old. It's an easy one, Raj. Noon kick, 3:30, 7:30. Do you think the backyard brawl got slighted by not getting a prime time slot, even though Jelinek and Fox calls it their big noon game, not getting their 3:30 or 7:30 kick?
Which game is that? The Michigan State game?
Michigan State game. I don't know. You're gonna have to. You're a little low with your level, so I don't know if you can pull that mic up or turn it up. There you go. Ooh. I like it. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have rather synced it in prime time, honestly. But I think the noon game is going to make it more of a dogfight. So it's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, you know what? If I could pick, and I don't have any problem with a noon game, but if they said, "Hey, go ahead, Dennis, you can schedule the game up," I'd say, "Well, make it at night in East Lansing." I mean, when you play under the lights, doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, I guess it doesn't matter what you're doing. Sports, it does. It matters. Like, you get out there, you play under the lights. If you're ever able to do it, as a youngster yourself, man, it just, it adds something. And then, if you're somebody that tailgates, of course, man, having the entire day, a 3:30, a couple extra hours. I mean, I know, like, you're talking about, well, you just can't get as plastered, for a noon game. It's just not just, I mean, the party's not the same at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a little easier to raise the roof at 5:30, than it is. It's hard to get after it at 9 in the morning. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is a big game. 2 undefeated teams. This should definitely be a primetime game, in my opinion, if there ever was one. This is it right here.
Well, I mean, you can say they're 2 undefeated teams. It should be primetime and all, but at the end of the day, I think that Penn State and Ohio State are the better teams, without a doubt. And I have no problem with ABC choosing to go with Penn State and Ohio State for the 7:30 slot. I like noon kicks for the fact that I'm starting off my football Saturday watching one of the best games it's going to be on all weekend. I mean, I'm screwed on Sundays with the Lions, so I might as well hang out and watch good football all day on Saturday, all day at 12, 3:30, and 7:30. So I am totally okay with the noon kick.
Yeah, but you get the people that go out and go to parties, and certainly people that are going to the game. Like, they want it a little bit earlier. And I'm with you. Like, I'm just going to sit at home, go out, do my things, get ready Saturday, 12 o'clock, boom, I'm ready to go. In fact, I might DVR and wait a little bit. Fox plays so many commercials that I might start it at 12:30 just so I can zip through a little bit. I don't have to sit through all their commercials. But, you pointed out correctly that it's all about TV, and they get to make the picks. And this happened to be the week that ESPN, ABC had the first pick. They picked Penn State and Ohio State, and then Fox had the second pick, and they picked Michigan and Michigan State. That's just how it goes. So it's not really getting slighted or anything else. It's just the way the ball bounces there. You can cry about not being a bigger name. I've been crying about it for 15 years, losing to Ohio State. You want to really come back to it. This is, another L, because, Ohio State's a bigger brand right now. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. And the execs wanted to see them at night more than they wanted to see Michigan and Michigan State. So that's where if you really want to cry about it, you're not. Either of us are. None of us are. But if you want to cry about that.
Hopefully Gus Johnson's calling the games, man. I love Gus Johnson.
No.
He is calling the game.
I love Gus Johnson, don't get me wrong, but Joel Klatt should just be on the Michigan payroll at this point. I want to punch Joel Klatt as hard as I can in his stupid face. That guy is on his knees for Jim Harbaugh. I cannot stand Joel Klatt calling a game. He's awful.
Yeah, I've never really found
so bad.
Joel Klatt to be partisan towards Michigan, but so that's interesting.
Because you're a Michigan man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly why.
I am able to discern some when it comes down to the national broadcasters. I don't really find any of them to be, partial to one school. I mean, Joel Klatt played quarterback at Colorado, so I don't really see what his connection is to Michigan there. I watched the game last year when it was Michigan and Michigan State, and Joel Klatt was saying, keep throwing the ball over the heads of the Michigan defenders. It didn't sound like he was on any Michigan payroll to me. Now, Gus Johnson, whatever players are making big plays, he sounds like he is on their payroll. He's big game. I love the excitement that Gus Johnson brings to a game. I think he's the best in the business. And you know what? Jenny Taft, as far as she goes, as a sideline reporter, she's top notch as well. So I love the crew. When it comes down to that, let's go.
Oh God, I can't stand Joel Klatt. Gus Johnson's fine. Just don't pair him with Joel Klatt. I can't stand those two together.
I like hearing them both. I like both of their commentary.
Are you a Michigan man, Raj? Yeah. That's why. That is why I'm not insane here. I know for a fact he is on the Michigan payroll at the end of the day. He always will be.
All right. Well, let's get one more.
He's going to agree with me.
Opinion here. Pete Finelli, he's not a Michigan or Michigan State fan. He's a Penn State fan. So, Pete, are you familiar with Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt's work? I mean, you're a youngster. Do you think Pete's onto something oh yeah, he's definitely amazing blue pom-pom waver?
Yeah, you're asking the wrong guy here. Unfortunately, I know I follow a little bit with Gus Johnson, but Klatt not so much. I honestly could not tell you.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't see it, but you know what? A lot of times when I'm watching a game, when Jelinek says things, I want to punch the guy in the face or this guy. I usually don't have that many problems with announcers. I don't really like Matt Millen or Beth Mowins, and there's, some others, that I'll say that I don't like. But, for the most part, I'll talk to my friends and they'll sound like Jelinek, like, this guy's an absolute homer. And I'm like, I haven't even noticed that. But, That's the way it is. I have not seen that. I'll have my ears really peeled a week from Saturday to see if Klatt, is showing his Michigan bias.
I'll be sure to pay attention to it this week.
We all have
next week.
Because none of you guys are gonna see it now, but I know for a fact that when you watch Michigan, you're like, oh wow, okay, holy crap, he is actually a Michigan man. But I understand that Michigan's a bigger brand, bigger product, all that. Just in this case, for the love of God, just call a game. I don't need all these stupid background stories about Jim Harbaugh when he was 5 years old or stuff like. I don't need any of that. Don't hype up Jim Harbaugh. Just call the damn game, Joel Klatt.
I don't really hear that much biasness in Klatt's voice, but that's just me.
What's that?
Wrong.
I don't really hear that much biasness from Joe Klatt. I like his commentary.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know where Jelinik's coming from, but you know what? That's what happens. Like you watch with a fan of another team, and they're like, "Yeah, oh my God, are you crazy? I hate this guy." Beth here, George Blaha is the GOAT. I agree with you on that, Beth. I'm right with you. I'm a huge fan of George Blaha. Like, I'm the oldest of the group here by far, and I don't remember the Pistons without George Blaha. I mean, growing up, George Blaha was calling the games. Like, but awesome. I remember sitting next to him down in 10 years ago. I mean, like, George, what year is this? He's like 37. Like 37. Okay. So I don't know. He's getting close to 50 years calling Pistons games. It's awesome.
This is what we're going to do. On Thursday's show, Raj, I would like for you to join us for a chapter. I'm going to make a bracket of the top, 16 announcers that I know or can think of. And I'm going to email everybody the bracket. Everybody's going to fill it out. And we're going to have a full-on chapter discussion about announcers, who we like, who we don't like. In the story. We're doing it on Thursday, okay?
I like it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, well, let's get some of the feedback on here. Here is BTFG40, add announcer hater to Brian's profile. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Hater and announcer hater.
I love announcers. I just don't like Gus Johnson.
You didn't say anything about Blaha. I'm over here, Beth's like, propping up Blaha, and you're a state guy. You're just sitting back there. You can't give any credit to Blaha? I get it for Pete, but you know what? You're not even going to say anything about Blaha?
I actually listen when I watch Pistons games. I put on Mark Champion and Rick Mahorn over the TV because I think they're better. I don't really love George Blaha anymore, so I'm sorry. That's the millennial in me, but I'm not a big George Blaha guy.
Terrible takes all around from Jelinek today. Wow, man. This guy can't come up with a good broadcasting take to save his life. Yeah, Jordan, Beth, I'm with you, man. Blaha doing MSU football games. I've listened to many football games with Blaha. At the 35 with 5:02 to go, he does the same thing like with with the Pistons. 5-2 to play. The Spartans leading 6-3. All right, great job, Beth. And Pete, you have anything to say, like the Michigan State game? That's all anybody is interested in around here. I know you've got your eyes on Penn State. You feel like your quarterback's coming back. You guys feel like you're out of it here. Of course, the same day that Michigan and Michigan State are playing, Penn State's playing Ohio State. So.
Well, I'm excited that the games are far apart. You were talking about, which one should have been the night game, which one was the afternoon game. Honestly, I don't care. I'm just excited that as long as I'm getting the channel for the Michigan State game, I get to watch both of them, and I'll be paying attention to the commentators to see. I'll be listening for you, Brian. I got you.
That's all I'm asking.
But no, I still no word on Clifford. We have no idea. Obviously, Ohio State's in 2 weeks, so if we have to rest him this week, we could probably get away with that. But there's been no word about it, so I really don't know what to say.
What about Franklin going to LSU? We asked you 2 weeks ago about him going to USC. His name also, along with Mel Tucker's, the first name that popped up when, the experts came up with who's on the short list to get the LSU job. James Franklin's name was there. You see him? He went to Vandy, so there's his SEC connection. I don't know the rest of his bio or anything else, if he's got any, roots down there in, Louisiana, but he did coach at Vanderbilt. So
no, I don't think so. I'm not like I said about or previously. I'm not too worried about him leaving. And yeah, no, he's sticking around. He's going to stick around.
All right. Anything else? We're just stay where you're at. We'll go. As they do on the red zone, we got quad boxes here. We're going
Quad
four
box.
wide.
I love that man. I love Scott Hansen. That is a beautiful man. No one can say a bad word about Scott Hansen.
Before we get to chapter 2 and get to pro football, does anybody want to say anything bad about Hansen?
Well, not Hansen, but before we get to chapter 2, while we're still on college football, I can't say anything, too profound to Iowa, but you deserved that beating at home from Purdue on your homecoming game.
Wait, didn't you guys lose to Iowa though?
Yeah,
right.
With some bum at quarterback.
You guys lost though.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
They need to be put in their place.
Did Gus Johnson and Joe Klatt call him the Penn State and Iowa game?
You know what? Maybe I'm just not gonna listen to the MSU Michigan State game, and I'm just gonna side with these guys that he isn't biased, and you can be on your own there, Brian.
Yeah, I thought Purdue, if there was one team that was gonna really put a pounding on one, it was gonna be Iowa, especially being at home there. But when Rondale Moore, the outstanding wide receiver now for Arizona, when he was at Purdue. And he was working over Ohio State like he did, whatever it was, 2-3 years ago, put on that show where Purdue beat Ohio State. My friend who's a Purdue guy said, we got a better wide receiver than Rondale Moore, and his name's David Bell. And you remember the name kind of thing. I was like, remember the name. All right, we'll see. David Bell, he put on a show. He's the one that beat the Hawkeyes there. Their defense came up big too, but that was impressive there. So you'd like to see that. I would also say I didn't know much about Oklahoma State. But I kind of made a bitter pick against Texas because their defense is so soft. And I'm like, man, I would never want to bet that Texas team. So when it came up to the picks, I took Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State, man, they made that tissue paper defense of the Longhorns. They're so soft on defense. They're so passive. And I'll give it up to the Cowboys. They're looking good there on Saturday as well. The other noon game that was opposite of Michigan State and Indiana. Anybody else have any thoughts on college football before we get to the pros?
Yeah, just to add to that, nobody in the Big 12 plays defense.
No, nobody plays defense in the Big 12. I want Oklahoma State to beat Oklahoma in a few weeks. I would love for them to win the Big 12 instead of Oklahoma because I think Oklahoma's fraudulent, but I just hope that happens. Go Pokies.
All right, well, let's get to chapter 2. That's where we send it over to Jelinek.
Yeah, so chapter 2. Guys, tell me if you've heard this before. The Lions lost another game, but this time they weren't in for a full half. They weren't in the game at all. That was just all around pathetic on every way, shape, and form. I'm pretty sure they only had, 51 yards of offense in the first half. Something ridiculous. They were just terrible in every way, shape, and form. I don't get where anyone can find any silver lining in this team right now besides our kicker or our punter, Jack Fox. Other than that, the team is just straight garbage in every way, shape, and form. So I'll open up to the panel. Guys, should we be – I actually heard Chapman say this on the radio. Should we be on 0-17 watch or should we move to an 0-17 warning? What do you guys think? Raj, we'll start with you.
All right. I don't think they're going to go 0-17. I think out of Philly, Atlanta, and Chicago on Thanksgiving, out of those 3 games, I think they can win 2 of them. So I got them going 2-15.
I think I'm right there with you at this point. Just nothing looks good on the team right now. Jared Goff's been a dumpster fire. I don't know what to say about the team. Like, I feel like over and over again for the past 6 weeks, we've done a show every Tuesday saying, wow, they were just close. They just needed to put a half together and they would have won the game, or they just needed to make this 4th down, or they should have kicked the ball. This time was just all around awful. And like on my show sheet, passing, bad. Defense, bad. Rushing, bad. Like, there's nothing with this team right now. I don't get what to say, or I don't know what to say anymore. It's pathetic.
Go ahead, Pete. You have any thoughts on the Lions here?
I mean, yeah, honestly, I've been saying 0-17 for a couple of weeks now. I mean, even said at the beginning of the season, like, there's a pretty good chance, and yeah, there's a couple games coming up that we're thinking, the Bears, the Eagles, whatnot, that we're like, yeah, sure, maybe they could win this. But if I'm recalling correctly, Dennis, you had the Lions to win against the Bengals, and me and Brian, we both said, yeah, they'll lose, but they'll cover the spread. They'll be like within a field goal, like they've been doing, and then they just go and they don't even bother to show up. So in a game that we all thought would be close or for the Lions. So, we talk about games upcoming that we're thinking, oh, yeah, maybe they have a chance. But it's just going to end up being exactly like this game that just happened.
Yeah, for as long as they have the goose egg in the win column, that's the big story. It's all about, we can all – you don't have to be, 70 years old to remember when the Lions went 0-16. It was just a few years ago. That's how they ended up being able to draft Matt Stafford. So, to have a chance to go 0-17 – the thing I look at is that it's really hard to go winless. Even teams that are trying to do it, the players come out and fight their ass off and are able to find a win. And the Lions really, they could have they should have beat the Ravens, They should have beat the Vikings there too. I mean, it's that close. So, and if they have two more games that are that close, I would think that they would fall into a win somewhere. But look, as long as it's happening like this is what takes over. I mean, there's a lot of negativity that surrounds, this franchise for good reason. More than half of the media, they're happy to see it. You either want a really good team or a really bad team. As soon as the Lions get a victory, the interest level really takes a dive here. I mean, if they had a win, would be talking. There wouldn't be much talk about them. Like, oh, hey, finally they got off to Schneid. Like Derek Barnes, their 4th round pick. Out of Purdue, he's got a good rating from Pro Football Focus. I mean, that's something to take a look at. Other than that, there isn't a lot. They're going to get massacred. It's going to be embarrassing when they go out to L.A. Sean McVay is going to be putting it on them, saying, hey, you really like Sean McVay, or you really like Jared Goff out there. But I think they could beat the Eagles, the following week. But, yeah, you're right about the betting on them, Pete. Not only I got up on Sunday morning and before I used to bet, I used to tell everybody, you know what? Here's the thing you want to do when you gamble. Never bet on the Lions. That should be the first thing. And don't bet with your heart. Here I am at Sunday morning. I'm picking the Lions money line. What am I doing? My first rule of gambling that I used to preach to everybody, I'm breaking. And then I put them in a parlay with Jacksonville. That only got me more excited because Jacksonville was the 9:30 game. It went on a kick. And I'm like, my God, look I've got the money line with the Jags and the Lions. But it was apparent quickly. First series, the Lions come out there, their best players, Hawkinson, false start, Penei Sewell, holding, shooting themselves in the foot, defense is letting the Bengals. I mean, that thing was over. The only thing that I can give myself is that I walked away pretty early in the second half. And I'm there's no reason I have to stay here. I'm not – nobody has me obligated to make sure that I'm just going to stay here and watch. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the channel. I did it. I was kind of proud of myself doing that. That's about it.
And one thing I'm looking at, too, is that you look at guys like DeAndre Swift and T.J. Hawkinson. T.J. Hawkinson is basically, without Stafford, he's the now golden boy of the Lions, and he's being double covered. He's causing false starts or holding calls and all that. Just he can't hold up to the superstardom as of right now because really elite players can break double coverage and can play better football. T.J. Hawkinson hasn't been doing that. DeAndre Swift had 35 yards rushing throughout the whole game. I understand he had a TD. DeAndre 24. Swift has to be better. He had 24. Thank you.
24.
They have to be better. And I understand the Lions are a terrible poverty franchise right now, but these guys who we say are really good players have to play better, and I'm just not seeing that at all.
Yeah. I mean, to add on.
They have dealt with the injury bug too, but still no excuse to come out and have performances that pathetic.
Exactly.
All right, some of the feedback. Beth, 0-17. This may be the worst football team I've ever seen. It's an indictment, Beth, but, could be true here. Rasidi, the only person that should be on any type of 0-17 watch or alert is Dan Campbell, because the man was on the 0-16 team, and I believe the man should just quit if they go 0-17.
Hey, Rasidi, how are those 1,000 reception, or how are those 100 reception wide receivers turning out for the Lions? One's hurt, the other can't catch the ball. Where are they?
Yeah, their best receiver from that game had 37 yards. Hawkinson and then Swift were their top two
Yep.
receiving leaders.
Yeah,
MAT
they
doesn't like
went for it on fourth down in that game, and Goff threw the ball away on the fourth down. I couldn't believe it.
Oh yeah, when he
It's
had what's his
comical.
name go wide open just over to the right, and like it
Mhm.
wasn't like he was under something, like there he was cutting right in front of him. You'd have thought that he'd be able to see that. I love this. No Stafford to blame, so LOL. Yeah, like, and then nationally, I saw Chris Carter jumping on Dan Campbell for saying that he needed more from Jared Goff. It's like, Jared Goff, we've talked about him repeatedly here. I mean, this was always just a shot in the dark, and it's going to be, he could be a backup as soon as next year on this team as a bridge quarterback. Nobody wants him, and his better days, even though he's young, he's regressed since was orchestrating and was at the controls of this awesome offense 3 years ago. He wasn't able to keep his foot on the gas and progress. And he was not an ascending player. He was a descending player. And we've seen all that, but it's not like they've got some young rookie quarterback that they want to get a look at. Their backup's David Blau. Like, what are you going to do? He's not even half as good as Jared Goff. I mean, you want to go 0-17? I'll tell you what, I don't think they're going 0-17, but if they put David Blau in,
They're going 0-17 with David
I think
Blau.
that then I am. I'm all on the 0-17 bandwagon there. I think it's going to be a massacre against the Rams, but I think that their next best shot I think is going to be against the Eagles. But I'm going to guarantee this right now. I'm not going to be betting the Lions on the money line in 2 weeks. I learned my lesson there.
Wait, Pete, is there any way you can look up on like FanDuel or DraftKings the odds the Lions go 0-17? Because I would consider throwing some cash down on that for the yes or no.
I will see what I can find.
Let's see if we can find something like that. Because
All right,
I
Pete,
don't
we'll
think
talk
it's
with
attainable.
you in a minute. You can be back up here if you want to say some more things about the NFL. Raj, before we get to other games in the NFL, how about we get some over and unders here this week?
Let's do it. All right, we got a game tonight. We got the Columbus Blue Jackets down at the LCA taking on the Red Wings. They got the over-under at that game at 5.5. 5.5 tonight for the Wings game. You guys like the over or the under?
I like the under. Grice played well against Vancouver the other night, and I saw that the Jackets just won a low-scoring game too. I know opening night, it was a 7-6 over affair there, but I'd play the under. With 5.5, I'd bet the under if I was going to bet it tonight.
Oh, see, I'm going with the over just for the fact that the Wings scored 6 goals in their first game. They scored 3 a couple nights ago, and the Jackets, I think, open up their season by scoring 8. So hammer the over. I think both teams can score, so give me that.
I'm taking the over as well. Taking the over on that one as well. All right. Next one, you got the Pistons season opener tomorrow against the Bulls. They got the over-under at that game at 220.
Yeah, breaking news, Cade Cunningham not going to play tomorrow for the Pistons. That came down about an hour ago. We'll talk about that more coming up. 220, 110 to 105. I'm going to go with the under in that game too.
I think I might have to go with the under on that one too. I just think 220 is a really high number for team. I mean, I think the Bulls are going to be better, don't get me wrong, but I still don't think they're a phenomenal team. Give me the under 220.
I'm going with the under on this as well. I don't think the Pistons are going to be one of the highest scoring teams in the league. I don't think the Bulls are going to be either. So I like the under in this game. All right. Next one, you got Northwestern at Michigan noon Saturday. They got the over-under at that game set at 51.
38, 48, 58. I'm going over in that one.
I think I got to agree with Fifth just for the fact that Michigan can score. Northwestern's defense isn't very good, and I think Northwestern will at least put 10 points up on the board. So, yeah, give me the over.
You don't see much from that Northwestern team. You're right, but it is. And I know Jim Harbaugh has a lot of respect for Pat Fitzgerald. So if the score gets outrageous, you could see them in the second half just running the ball up the middle. But Michigan's also got to work on their passing game a little bit. So maybe we will see some bombs in there. The defense for Northwestern is really taking a nosedive. That's why I think Michigan will be able to name. I think Michigan will cover. Was it 50? What'd you say? 51.
51, yeah.
I think Michigan will come close to getting that themselves. Over.
I'm going to go under on that one. I think Michigan's going to win 35-14. That's 49 points. Ooh. I like the under. But I like Michigan in a row.
I like you sticking with your guns, Raj. I give you like the complete layout of why it's going over. Hit the hottest 3 points, and you're like, no, I'm going the other way. All right.
All right, we got the Lions at the Rams, the Sunday evening massacre. They got the over under at that one set at 50.5.
I think the Rams could easily put up 35 points. The Lions are scoring under 17 points a game right now, so count the Lions up for 10, 13 points, 35, 45, 48. Ooh. I got to, give me the under. The Rams are going to score a ton of points, but the Lions aren't going to do enough to get to the over.
There's a part about it where I think Sean McVay is going to want to slap a couple more on the Lions. Like what? Because it's some big, I'll show Jared Goff, we know exactly what to do to him. But you know what? If Goff has got anything, the coach just, put the dunce cap on him too. Now he's got to go back, and everybody in LA is going to be, is going to be 75 degrees in LA. He's going to be rolling in. Everybody's going to be like, oh, we're so sorry, Jared. I mean, if the guy's got any pride, man, he's got to at least be able to put up some points there. And I think Stafford, for all the, the things that are said about him, and he's like the NFL, it's like they love him now, across the nation, like he's got out of jail and everything. But I think Stafford, there might be a part in the second half where he might want to take it easy on his old team and just say, let's just run the ball. So I'll take the under.
Yeah, I'm going under on this one too. I think Stafford's going to be licking his chops out there. He's going to love cutting that Lions defense up. It's going to feel real good. But I think the Rams could score, anywhere from 30, 35 points. But I don't think the Lions are going to be able to get much points on the board. So that's what I'm going to go under there.
Yeah, the Lions are usually going to lose by 20, 25 points. But I just don't think the Lions are going to be able to do enough to get to that over. Did you say 51?
50.5.
Yeah, they're not going to get to 50.5 just for that reason.
They're not going to be able to score enough points. I don't see it. I don't see it. All right, my last one here. Over under 3 wins for the Lions. You're going over under on 3 wins.
Under.
Give me the push rate at 3. I need something. I think 3 wins will make me feel okay about Dan Campbell and the Lions staff. 3.
You see Baker behind the scenes saying a 10.5% that Lions go 0-17. I don't know where he gets that from. Maybe that's his opinion. Pete coming up with play. He's showing his work. I don't know what play is. Play, is that the Drew Brees site? Has Michigan plus 14. Wait, Play Michigan. That must be the name of the gambling site. Has plus 1,400 for the Lions to go 0-17. So there you go. Play Michigan.
I would sprinkle a little cash on plus 1,400. I would sprinkle a little bit on that just for the hell of it.
I like the Red Wings hat, Raj.
Mm-hmm.
Are we all that's our 5 over and unders?
That's 5. That's a 5-piece McNugget right there.
Anything else? I love the Wings hat. Anything else with the pros that jumped out to you before we turn the chapter? We'll ask everybody.
I hit on my parlays this weekend. Shout out to the Chiefs for coming through for me. Shout out to the Rams coming through for me. And I stayed away from the Lions. I know a lot of Dennis, you and my brother got stung by that Lions pick, so I stayed away from the Lions. And shout out to the Chiefs, shout out to the Rams for coming through for me on my parlay.
Yeah, I'm the first. That was my first week of betting the Lions. I just bet the Lions to cover, and of course, that's the one week they don't actually cover. So I absolutely love that happening. So I am never betting the Lions. That was my first and last time ever betting the Lions. So I am never dealing with that again.
Just go with the locks. Just go with the locks. Go with the
absolutely.
Easy money.
Go straight chalk every time whoever the Lions are playing. So I totally agree with that. But Raj, thanks for joining us, man. We'll see you again next Tuesday.
Appreciate it. Peace out.
All right. So there you go. Thank you, Rob. I think sometimes we both hit the same buttons and they can eliminate somebody or keep them up on the screen. But we got it going. That takes us to, before we get to the third chapter, what about any other games in the NFL? You had the Rams rolling, Cowboys, Patriots, Cards over the Browns, Ravens over the Chargers. Those are all pretty big time games, and all those teams I just mentioned prevailing and looking pretty good.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked about the Chargers getting slashed by the Ravens like that. I was expecting Herbert to have a pretty big day because the Ravens defense has been both good and bad throughout the whole year. So I was kind of hoping it was going to be a bad game for Herbert. But man, Lamar Jackson's making his case that he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he can easily be an MVP candidate again this year. Lamar Jackson's sick. I love watching the guy play.
Only problem with Jackson is like, yeah, he's doing his part winning the games. He only threw for 167 yards, which obviously he's getting the job done. But that's the only thing I don't like. It's the problem that they've had, and the problem when they go to the playoffs and they face good teams is if they get behind early on, then they're going to struggle, and that's how they're going to lose big games.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of manpower to injuries. We know about the running backs, and we know that they lost one of their corners. I just saw today that Ronnie Stanley, their left tackle, he's going to be out for the year. So you can't keep piling up big-time injuries like that. But, maybe it's just like, Lamar, he doesn't need to throw the ball. Just run it around, and, he's a unicorn. Just Lamar Jackson, let him go. Doesn't matter who's around him.
How'd you feel about the Rams going for it last night? Did you like the play call, or did you want them to take the field goal and tie it up?
The Bills?
The Bills.
Excuse me, the Bills. Thank you.
First off, I did not see that game being close. I kind of saw it being like a repeat of the Bills-Chiefs game where, the Titans and the Chiefs kind of are similar to me, very high-powered offenses with no defense to back it up. So I kind of thought it was going to be the same sort of thing. But I mean, obviously you can, say they didn't make it, so it's easy to say that I didn't like it. But, I feel like you just got to go into overtime there. I mean, you are the better team in this. Like, obviously you don't want to go up against Derrick Henry any longer than you have to, but at the end, you are still the better team. And if you get the ball, I think it's just whoever gets the ball first in overtime ends up winning that game. So it's tough to analyze, after it's already happened and they've lost. But
I think the Bills were thinking like you, like they were showing that they weren't able to stop Derrick Henry. They weren't able to stop the Tennessee offense. And you know what? They got Josh Allen, who's 250 pounds, and they only needed a half yard there. He always sneaks it, and it's like Tom Brady doing it. You think Tom Brady's great at it, and Josh Allen's been pretty good at it. I don't know if it was a full yard. It seemed like it was just a half yard.
It's small.
I was all about that. And, I like, when it's fourth and less than a yard, especially when it's a half yard, I like coaches going for it. I think they all should. I think we're seeing them do that more and more. So, there's the downside. You lose the game, you can't pick up 6 inches or whatever it is. Great play by the Tennessee player. I just, there was 2 things in that game last night that I just thought were awesome. It was an awesome game all the way through, everything that you would want in there, but it was it was the Bills and the Titans. And, here's Mike Vrabel going to the Music City Miracle where they threw the ball on a kickoff across and it ended up going down. That was a playoff game. It's one of the great plays in NFL history. And they tried to do a 2.0 from that. And then they showed the camera angle of the gunner who ran all the way back and it's the one that caught the ball and ended up being a forward pass. But I mean, it was beautifully designed and almost that close to being executed to being just a great play. But I love that. And then Josh Allen, they caught that 2-point conversion. It was somewhat like the Philly special in the Super Bowl. I think there might've been an extra lateral in there, but man, that was great. I mean, that's fun football. Like
it's a great game.
You're doing stuff like that and having a game like that. That's, that was, you don't say that often. Like it was a great game to watch.
Derrick Henry is just such an amazing player. He is ridiculous.
Did you see that guy comment how he runs like Forrest Gump? I can't unsee that now. How just Henry has like the Forrest Gump run going. I can't unsee it.
Now, I don't know which guy said that. Maybe one of the broadcasters. You probably hate
someone on Twitter.
Because he's a Michigan guy. Oh, somebody on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really see that myself, but what I see is a guy at 6'3" and 250 that they were showing like running up those hills like Jerry Rice. And I see somebody that makes the NFL look like, he's a man among boys. Even he had one of those other ones where it's just a 2-yard game where you're throwing somebody down to the turf, chains. And it's the way I work out, man. When I throw those big, plates on the side, I got chains going at it. It's crazy. Raciti saying Lamar has to throw the football. Are you crazy? And he can throw it. No problem. You can't try and limit the man and this team. I'm not trying to limit anything. He can throw it.
Yeah,
he just didn't have the numbers.
I got a question for you guys. Speaking of Lamar, we got probably the two top dual threat quarterbacks in the league. We got Lamar Jackson and we got Kyler Murray. who would you rather have on your team?
Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm. Younger.
I think. Well, not that he's
They're both
younger.
pretty young.
I just think that Kyler Murray is the more complete guy. Like
Sure.
everything that you're looking for, except the height, I guess. But he's displayed that he's got a rocket arm, and I know Lamar has the arm. I just Kyler's a better passer, and he's almost as good a runner as Lamar.
My thing with Lamar is his default setting, like as much as it's, the joke is, the running back, whatnot, his default setting is when he's in trouble to start running. And then even if he gets away and has time to throw, he still wants to just then run the ball, which gets him into trouble sometimes because he can get tripped up. And whereas, if he had just, escaped the pocket, thrown the ball, could have gotten some yards down the field, he tries to run more and then maybe gets tripped up, only gets a yard or two. Whereas Murray, I see more. He escapes pressure, makes time, and then he does throw the ball down the field more often, finding Hopkins or AJ Green. Whereas Lamar will just, he's in trouble. His default is just to run it.
Well, what we saw 2 years ago when Lamar won the MVP and they were 14-2 is that you have a good running back and you get a lead and you're the Ravens, you can't stop them. I mean, it's just like. They're going to run those RPOs, and it's deadly. But what's the kryptonite? Just getting them and making them play from behind. I know you want to say that about every team, but when you're a running team, it's pretty hard,
especially
to come from behind, like with your Lamar Jackson. And that's what's cost them the last 2 years in the postseason when, teams are able to get up on them. And let's get some of the other feedback here. We got to keep moving through. David talking about no good QBs in the draft. They should trade for Garoppolo.
Not any better than Goff.
I agree. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is that great of a quarterback. He just benefited from a really nice system with Kyle Shanahan. But no, I would not trade for Jimmy Garoppolo or that money.
Not worth it.
I don't want Jimmy G either. Let's see this one. Talking about TJ Watt. I had it up there for a second. How about some love for TJ Watt? Yeah, TJ Watt's great.
He's a freak. He's awesome.
Shouldn't have been in that situation. He shouldn't have needed to make a overtime strip sack to kick a game-winning field goal against the Russell Wilson-less Seahawks. That situation never have happened, but it did, and he is undoubtedly best player on that team. Ridiculous.
Great call, Pete. It's great to have you on here, man. We're getting through some Pistons and Wings. Jump in if you got anything that you want to say. If not, you'll be running that chat. It's always great to see Pete Finelli. That does get us to the third chapter. Are you ready to go there?
I am. Do you want to go in with the breaking news about Cade Cunningham, or you just want to talk a little bit about the Stones first?
Well, it's one and the same. Cade Cunningham is not playing tomorrow for the Pistons in their home opener, their regular season opener against the Bulls. Now, I'll just say this. When I saw – I knew it was up for question, but when I saw – I have the headline right here. I had it saved. It said, Cade Cunningham out for the season, and then the second line was opener again. Oh. So for a second, I'm like, Cade Cunningham out for the season.
People can't be saying that because that would just freak me out. And when it comes to the Pistons talking like this whole injury with Cade Cunningham, I have zero problem with them holding him out. I don't care if he debuts on Saturday. I don't care if he debuts in 2 weeks from now. I just want the number one overall draft pick to be healthy and to be ready to go. I do not want the Pistons to rush him out at all. I am totally fine with the Pistons not playing him right now. But on the other hand, it is going to be interesting to see when he plays and what he can bring to the team and be the floor general that he was at Oklahoma State. So it sucks that he's not going to be playing at LCA tomorrow against an individual rival in the Bulls. But at the same time, I'm fine with the Pistons holding out on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's the opposite take? Get him out there. Let's run him out, even if he's not feeling good, even if he's not 100%.
The Isaiah
nobody can really say that.
Yeah.
And can you question that, the management doesn't know what they're doing? Dwayne Casey's, taking it too easy on him. What are they already trying to tank? I mean, you might even have some of those feelings. Just taking a look since they drafted him. He was out there in Vegas. Everything was going good. But the last two games, it's like, man, let's just we've seen enough. Let's rest him. He's got a hammy or whatever. All right. And then preseason, nothing. He's got a little ankle. And now he's not here for the season opener. You hope there's nothing going on there. It's just they keep saying, Casey just said it was just a twist. I mean, maybe he'll be good to go on Saturday. So I don't know. I mean, is there going to be something where they're going to be load managing him through the year or whatever else? I don't know. Whatever's best for him. I'm going to let them see what they can do because you know what? You get the number one pick and you get this great player and you like everything that he's saying. Now's the time where everything you do around him, it's it's about keeping him happy and moving forward. And I looked at the over and unders, tonight. It's the official opening of the NBA. So I was looking at all those over and unders. The Pistons are only 25.5.
They got to be better than that. They got to be.
I went for the over. I listened to some national guys there were three of them talking. It was Bill Simmons' podcast, and they got to the Pistons, and all three of them were like, it's under. They went to their win total last year. They're just like,
really?
Yeah, you know what? There's not much there. Well, I mean, I don't know how much they were watching. Not many people were watching the Pistons last night. And then you get a rookie, and you're thinking, unless he's just like a superstar, like what kind of effect can he have? But the thing with Grant, how they sat him so much last year, and just to me, the way they do have like the old Pistons reputation of really fighting. I know it, fighting through a game and staying in it. I think they can get to those last 5 minutes and win their share. I'm going over. I think they're going to be fighting for the play-in game. Now, unless Cade Cunningham missed 25 games here, if I'm sitting here next week and he still hasn't played a game, I can be like, why did I bet the over? But I bet the over. I think that they're going to be better than 25.5 games.
I think they're absolutely going to be better than 25.5 games. But I think best case scenario is them being good enough to try to get into the play-in tournament, but I see them being around, like 35 wins or something like that. I don't see them going any more than that. I mean, as long as Cade Cunningham can play 3/4 of the season or basically every game besides a handful here and there for load management, I think the Pistons are easily 10 wins better than 25 wins, without a doubt.
Wow, 35 wins. I think that'd get them into the playoffs. Forget about
Would
the
it?
play-in
I have no
game.
idea. I can't remember the records from last year at all. And
that's where you got to go to the NBA records from last year and say, hey, I'm going to pick them for 35 wins, and say, oh, hey man, I'd have them as a 7th seed. So maybe I should back that down a little bit. So
I think maybe I should too. Then maybe around 30 wins. Then I don't know. I just no, I'm going to stick with my 35 wins. If that's good enough to get into the play-in tournament, I'm all about it. But I don't see them being any
good enough to be a 7th
wins.
seed. 35 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Rasidi wants to bring in Magic Johnson as the co-GM. Yeah, look, Rasidi, the thing about Troy Weaver here is that he doesn't need any co-GMs, and you don't need Magic Johnson. If you're a team like the Lakers, you bring in Magic Johnson so he can deliver a top-notch free agent like LeBron James. But it's not like Magic is going to come in and you're going to say, oh, it's a great free agent class next year, so let's hire Magic so he can just flash his smile and maybe they'll go out there and be able to get DeAndre Ayton, if the Suns and him can't. It's not going to happen, and there's no reason for it to happen. So
there's no reason to happen. I have no problems with what Troy Weaver has done so far as the Pistons GM, and I'm hoping he just gets better and better every year. I have zero problem with Troy Weaver.
Mercedes got the under 25 for the Pistons, so there you go. They'll open it up tomorrow night against the Bulls. We'll talk about all that on Thursday. The Red Wings are in action. They're underway. We got to hit these last two. Let's do it. Wings, what'd you think of the first 2 games here? Did you watch any of them? And as they're underway with the Blue Jackets tonight?
I watched the whole opener. Really enjoyed that. I watched very little of the Canucks game against the Wings, but overall, I really liked what I saw. Even though the Wings lost in heartbreaking fashion after being up 6-3 late in the third period, I was really happy with what I saw. I mean, the youngsters were very exciting, and Mortiz Sider, Philip Zadina, Lucas Raymond, those guys were fun to watch. Lucas Raymond playing on the top line, which is awesome. Dylan, I got to back myself up a little bit. I really liked how in the first game against the Lightning, the Wings were really physical, moving the puck around, and they looked damn good. I mean, Tyler Bertuzzi scoring 4 goals in the first game is awesome to see, but that whole instance with Dylan Larkin I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, punching him in the back of the head. Didn't love my captain doing that. I don't want Dylan Larkin to A, get hurt, or B, be suspended for like how he was, but I loved how guys were defending each other. You had Giovanni Smith going in the Canucks game to defend players. I really am liking what I'm seeing from the Wings this year. And I don't care if they're not going to be good. I just want them to be interesting. And so far, through 2 games being 1-0-1, the Wings are damn interesting and fun to watch.
Yeah, I want to see Giovanni Smith fight. The thing about Larkin is when you get cross-checked into the boards like that, go ahead, stand up for yourself. It was Rasmussen against Vancouver. It was the same thing. I mean, cross-check into the back. They're sending them into the boards. I mean, guys are going to do that. You got to take matters into your own hands. So I don't have any problem with that. The Bertuzzi thing from game 1 was awesome. A natural hat trick.
Yeah.
I bet it's some games with his hat trick. I mean, there's different energy, different feeling when you go to a game and, somebody scores a hat trick. And he had 4, and hell, he could have had a 5th one. He was skating in, just shot it over the top. Like, then you're talking about real rare air if you're able to get 5 goals. So, yeah, it sucks blowing a 3-goal lead. If you're going to blow one, probably be to a team like the Lightning, who are pretty awesome and have a lot of firepower, like they did. But, it was good to bounce back with a win. They look pretty good. No score right now in the first period against the Blue Jackets. They played 13 minutes in that one. As we get to Chapter 5, that's baseball.
We can talk a little quick baseball. I actually have the Dodgers-Braves game on right now, and in the top of the 7th with no outs, the Braves are up 5-2 right now. So I really like the Braves. I've loved what I've seen from Jock Peterson. I know we talked about right when we opened up with Jocktober, the Pearls, the Anthony Rizzo bat. The playoffs have been really fun to watch in the National League. I think in the American League, since my Rays lost, I've been kind of pissed off, and I don't like the Red Sox to begin with. But the Red Sox has just blown the Astros out twice now, and I frankly don't like any team. But I think the Astros are cooked in the ALCS. So give me Red Sox Braves in the Fall Classic, and I want the Braves in 5.
There's Kiki Hernandez, who's been the story for the Red Sox. He's been so awesome. He's sometimes it looks like that it's an adventure in center field. That was a great signing there for the Red Sox, who take him and make him a full-time outfielder for him. That was what I was hoping for Jacoby Jones, that maybe he could have been somebody like Kiki Hernandez. Never worked out like that, but to see guys that he didn't come out of nowhere, but I mean to perform like he has. I mean, now Kiki Hernandez is a household name, and to see the slamming socks. Like, remember when the Padres during the season, they were having all these, slamming Padres, but to do it in the first inning, second inning, or second and third inning, however they did, and then they did it again, last night. It is incredible, hitting the slams like they are. So that part has been pretty thrilling here. And then the Braves, the first 2 games, I mean, both of those 1-run games. And the Braves scored in the 9th to win it. So, I mean, they're just coming up big when they had to. They were down 2-0 in this game today. I was watching the first couple innings, and 2-0 in the first inning, and they're escaping. Morton's out there, and he got squeezed on the Braves' first run when he threw a perfect pitch there. So I'm sure Dodgers fans going to be upset about that, but they got some work to do. You don't get down 3-0 and then think that the Dodgers are going to come back. So, that's hanging in the balance. I'd love to see a Braves Red Sox World Series. Bring it on.
I would too. I think the Braves have one of the best uniforms in all of baseball to begin with, because I love looking at uniforms like that. Jock Peterson just flew up to left field, but I like I said before you started talking, I love what I've seen in the NLCS so far. I am always worried about the Braves going up, because I feel the Dodgers have the firepower to get right back into it with Trey Turner, with Corey Seager, with obviously Mookie Betts and Justin Turner. The Dodgers are a damn good team, but like the Astros have been to 5 straight championship series. I feel like the Dodgers are there basically every year at this point. I just want to see something totally different. I think a Red Sox Braves World Series is going to be incredible to watch.
It would. I'll be there for it. All right. Great job, Jelinek. We'll be back here on Thursday. We'll talk about the Pistons home opener for sure. And we'll look ahead to the college football and pro football weekend as well. I mean, we got so many things going on in sports right now. It's like it's happening.
It's everywhere.
It is great. I want to thank everybody on the chat for coming in. Pete Finelli out in Happy Valley for taking care of the chat and jumping in and giving us his 2 cents. Rob Banker, for running this whole production. Great job, Rob. And then we had Raj Bundles coming in with the overs and unders. We love having him on a Tuesday. And so for everybody, I'm Dennis Fithian. It was a fun broadcast, and we'll do it again coming up on Thursday. Tell everybody good night.
Good night, everybody. See you on Thursday.